We're at the pump track and I'm gonna show Wolf how to be comfortable on a pump track. I'm gonna give a few tips and tricks and turn them into a faster pump track skater. Hopefully for those of you watching at home, you'll get a few tips and tricks out of this one too.
Yeah, so I've skated for a long time, pretty much all downhill, like racing, free ride, cruising around town, but like no street, no park, nothing like that. I skated a flow section once, I think, and crashed and sprained my wrist and like never went back. Skating things like this with curves and that, never done it.
What do we call that?
Whoop-de-doos.
Whoop-de-doos. Yeah, the line is important.
Yeah.
And the technique is really important. And the board choice is really important.
Well, I've gone through Etiquette today. This is like my go-to rip around town. We're really used to the sport, so that's why I brought it along with me.
I've got a nice variety of boards here. All of them are gonna work really well on the pump track. And the most important thing is that all the boards that we've got here have nice soft wheels on them. So they're gonna be fast, they're gonna be smooth. I'm gonna start with the tugboat. It's got a nice wide standing platform. That'll make it stable. There's not really one specific board size or shape that's perfect for pump tracks. It's just important to feel comfortable on your board. So bring the board that you're most comfortable on and definitely get some soft wheels if you don't have any already.
So do I start right here and just drop in?
If the pump track's empty and you're the only one here, you can go in whatever direction you want. But if the pump track's really busy, you have to follow pump track etiquette. There's always an entry point and an exit point on pump tracks. Usually pump tracks have arrows to indicate which direction to go, where the entry point and the exit point is. If somebody's already in the pump track, they always have the right of way. Since the pump track is empty right now, we can go whichever direction we want. That's actually my favorite way to skate a pump track, is to skate in lots of different directions. It's nice to pick your own route.
Okay, Alex, where should I start?
So this circle is a really good place to start.
Yeah.
Because there's like 2 dips and then a berm, and then 2 dips and then a berm. So it's really good practice because it has everything. It's got the rollers and it's got the berms. I just gotta get straight into the pumping technique. So normally when you're riding a skateboard, you push with your foot, and that's how you generate speed. On a pump track, your feet never leave the board. The way that you generate speed is by pumping. And what is pumping, you may ask? Basically, pumping is how you can use the curve of the pavement to generate speed. When you look at a pump track, it's got all these curves, all these rollers. In between each bump is a valley. That's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it a valley, and each bump is cresting over. We're gonna call those peaks. So in a pump track, you've got lots of peaks and valleys. When you're in the valley, you gotta be applying downwards pressure to the board throughout that entire section. You sort of trick yourself into doing it perfectly by this one tip. At the beginning of the valley, your legs should be fully bent. At the end of the valley, your legs should be fully extended. In between that time, transitioning from a fully bent position to a fully extended position, and you just spread out that body movement across the entire valley. Where the valleys are longer, that body movement is gonna take you longer. You gotta make sure that you're not reaching full extension until the end of the valley, because then that way you're applying that downwards pressure throughout the entire duration of the valley. That's the most efficient way to use the rollers. If you're only extending halfway, you're not using your full potential. The end of the valley is gonna bring you to a peak. If you just get to the end of the valley and your legs are fully extended, and then you just keep it that way, it's gonna be all stiff and awkward, weird. It's gonna be unstable. A lot of people get the pumping down pretty quick, but I think the most tricky part is absorbing the uphills. Every time you pump, all that hard work goes to waste if you don't absorb the rollers properly. As long as you don't take away your speed by rolling up the hills, then every time you pump, you're gonna get more and more and more speed.
Pumping the dips, absorbing the peaks.
It should be like the peaks aren't even there, basically.
It feels like it's hard to do it when you're going slow. Like you need a bit of speed.
Yeah, you need a bit more speed to get a good flow. A berm is basically a banked corner. On pump tracks, every corner is sloped upwards. It helps you turn, kind of guides you. And as the corner angles inward, sort of carries you around. It helps change the direction of your travel, and you can take incredibly high speeds through corners on the pump tracks because the corners are so banked. You want to use the banked corners to your advantage, and we call the banked corner a berm. The next most important thing is the line. What you want to do is you want to decide where you enter the berm. Do you enter the berm down low at the bottom, or do you enter the berm up here at the top? You gotta make that decision on your own for each berm. If you start high in the berm, it makes it easy to end low. If you start low in the berm, you're most likely going to end up high. Do you want to be low or high when you're coming out of the berm? It really just depends on what comes next. Certain spots on this pump track where the corners combine together, and that's where the line choice is the most important. In a perfect world, wherever you enter the berm, you're gonna just stay there the whole time around it. If you're halfway up the berm, then you're just gonna stay halfway up the berm the whole way along it. You're gonna exit the berm halfway up. If you enter the berm down low, ideally you'll stay down low, you'll exit the berm down low. But that's tricky, especially when you start going faster, because if you're down here in the middle of the berm, it's a much tighter corner. But if you're way up at the top of the berm, it's a big, huge, round corner. If you're going a lot faster, it's easier to open up the corner. One common mistake that people make is they'll start turning before the berm starts. So you're eager to start turning. What you want to do is you want to be going in line with the pump track all the way until the berm. And then once you're in the berm, then you start turning. If you're up here, it gives you a bit more space. It gives you a bit more time, and it gives you a better opportunity to change the direction that your board is pointing. Then you can start turning and then let the berm pull you down here. But if you enter the berm down low, then your board's gonna just wanna, So you don't wanna do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Berms, I think the berms are my favorite part. But actually, my favorite part is when you've got 20 rollers in a row in a straight line and you're just going super fast.
Okay.
So this is gonna be an example of a low entrance and how that'll spit you out wide on the exit. It'll be impossible for you to get to me if you're entering the berm low. No, it's impossible. This time, enter the berm right up here, right at the top. And remember to try to run parallel with the track prior to the berm. Try to get to me. Yeah, that makes all the difference. Why don't you do a lap around the track? I'll see if I can give you any pointers. I got a really good tip for you. I noticed your legs reached maximum extension about 30% of the way through the berm. That means that from here to here, you're just coasting. You're not accelerating anymore. You gotta think,
Do I want to have my legs fully extended or not?
Your legs shouldn't be fully extended until the end of the berm.
You start with your legs bent, entering the turn, and as you come through, you slowly push out.
Yeah,
So it's like a long valley.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, I'll try
And
that.
you'll get way more speed that way.
All right.
Oh!
That works.
You went way faster that time.
Yeah,
You had so much momentum. At this point, your momentum was like, nope, there's too much of me. I'm just gonna keep going. That was great. You extended your legs throughout the entire duration of the berm and you went way faster. I noticed you were getting really wobbly because of the angle that your board is at, and because the berm angles the board upwards, the cornering force literally goes directly downwards onto the board. On a flat piece of pavement, you're leaning into the corner and the cornering force pushes the board this way, but because the board is angled upwards like this, the cornering force is pushing straight down into the board. It basically means during that corner, you weigh twice as much as you normally weigh. So that's why it's so important to have like stability. Let's get a skate tool, tighten your back truck, and make sure that your back truck isn't wobbling out like that. Thanks.
There you go. All right, let's give it a try.
Always bring a skate tool to the pump track. You're never gonna know how your board's gonna perform until you get to the pump track. And if you find that your board's not performing right, you're gonna wanna have a skate tool so that you can make adjustments.
Check your nuts.
Oh my goodness. That technique is way better.
That foot wing were stable. You know, it was feeling a bit off with the rain coming in, but that was stable, fast, felt solid. Thanks.
The thing about this board, it's got a kicktail. My foot usually sits on the kicktail, which puts all my weight on the back truck. That's gonna compress the back bushings a lot more than the front bushings. And that gives me the sensation that my back truck is much looser compared to my front truck. So to compensate for that, I need to add tightness to the back truck to give myself the sensation that my trucks are both equal tightness. You can change the way the board feels by adjusting the trucks. But the other thing you can do is you can actually change the location of your feet, and then that will also give your board a different sensation. So if I bring my foot up in front of the back truck like this, now most of my weight is on the front truck. it's tricky to do that on a board like the tugboat because the tugboat is so small. So what I like to do is I like to get a big longboard, and that way I can spread my feet out really nicely and I can still have all my weight on the front. A bigger board will actually feel much more stable and much more controllable in a pump track. You can spread your feet out, which allows you to get lower and pump easier. You can also put your weight further forward on the board. Oh yeah, Wolf. Just try this board. Take it for a spin. If you're gonna ride a bigger board, you gotta anticipate for scraping so that it doesn't catch you by surprise. If you're not expecting to scrape, it might set you off balance a little bit, especially because towards the tail end of the scrape, it lifts your back trucks up off the pump track a little bit. It doesn't really offset your balance too badly, as long as you're kind of ready for it. Yeah, it sort of feels cool. You're absorbing that first roller very intuitively, which is eliminating the resistance from the roller, and it's also setting you up perfectly for that first pump.
Definitely quite a bit different than having a board at the kicktail, having your feet in between the trucks. As opposed to having one at the back. That back end is a lot less squirrely, feels a lot more solid.
More weight on the front, more stability. Good for pump tracks. Shoulder positioning. You want your shoulders to point in the direction that you're going. I ride left foot forward. I am going to use my left shoulder to help make the corner. And the way I'm going to do that is by pointing it where I want to go. If I want to go left, then I'm going to point my front shoulder to the left. If I want to go right, I'm going to point my front shoulder to the right. As I'm transitioning from a squared up stance to a pointed stance, that really should happen before the berm or right at the beginning of the berm. You shouldn't be in that transition phase in the berm. Kind of get that out of the way early so that once you're in the berm, you basically lock into that position and just hold it the whole way through the berm. You set your shoulder position at the beginning and then you keep it there the whole time that you're in the berm.
Getting speed and working on keeping speed and accelerating, definitely the most important. So easy to find yourself in a place where, you miss one of the pumps, you lose a bunch of speed, and then you're struggling to get speed again.
The best way to maintain your speed, honestly, is just de-weight like crazy on the uphills.
Yeah.
That's where you lose all your speed, is on the uphills. And if you just fly right over the hill, you just absorb the hill so that it's not even there.
So faster you go, harder you gotta work for it, by a lot. Really gets your legs tired. Huge leg workout, that's for sure. It's like squat, 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 squat. Yeah.
I noticed, Wolf, that you had incredible progression.
Thanks.
You look much more comfortable on a pump track now, and you developed a concrete understanding of the fundamental basic techniques that are required for pump track skating, which is point your shoulder where you want to go, pump the valleys, absorb the peaks.
Yeah.
And line choice, which you could go on about line choice forever, especially in a pump track like this that has so many options.
Thanks, Alex. You're a tremendous teacher. This was awesome, and I'm stoked to come back.
Go skate a pump track. It'll make you a way better skateboarder, and you'll get exercise.
And get jacked legs.
Yeah.
Alex.
Good that pump.
Oh!
Bruh. So to compensate for that, oh my God.
That's a sidewalk.
Yo, bro, come skate for a sec. What do you want to say to the world?
Yo, these boards are really, really nice. I'm not gonna lie, much better than all the other boards, so definitely should go buy.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, bro. See you guys later.
Yeah.